So today I am taking a look at the centerpiece of my $400 gaming PC, which is slowly starting to come together. I actually have all the parts ordered for that $400 gaming PC, so it's really just a matter of waiting on items to show up and then putting the thing together. But the centerpiece is here, and that is an RX 480 8GB card. This thing came out originally in June of 2016, and I was able to get this off of eBay with a best offer for a grand total of $96.35. And all this, of course, raises the question, is this thing even worth picking up in 2022? Let's take a look. So the first step that I normally do with pretty much any used GPU that I purchase is to throw it on the test bench for basically two reasons. First and foremost, I want to see if the thing works at all in the first place before I start opening it up, potentially breaking void warranty stickers, even if they're not supposed to be enforceable or whatever. But the second big thing is to figure out if I even need to disassemble the card by taking a look at thermals under a full GPU load. And the spoiler here with the RX 480 8GB is, yeah, it had never been opened and I absolutely needed to fix the thermals. It shot up to like 90 degrees Celsius within 90 seconds of running Heaven benchmark, so we were off to disassemble the card to see if we could locate just why it was running so hot. Yeah, I think I figured out why it was running pretty hot. Now, to be absolutely clear about this, these 480 reference cards were not cool cards to begin with. Even after replacing the thermal paste and blasting out whatever animal was living in the heatsink, this thing still runs up into the 80 degree range to lower half of the 80 degree range, like 80 to 82, 83, somewhere in there. But it is significantly lower than the 90 degrees plus that it was running up to very quickly before I had cleaned it out and before I had replaced the thermal paste. So if you're buying a used GPU, just understand if you're on a strict budget, you're probably, even if you buy a CPU cooler that has thermal paste pre-applied, you may want to budget out just a little bit of money for a tube of thermal paste to potentially fix thermal issues with your GPU, because this is not an uncommon issue, especially with these blower style cards. If they've been around for several years and have had significant usage, they're going to need cleaned at some point. Then with the thermals fixed, it was time to take a look at just a few games at 1080p, because frankly, an RX 480 is geared towards 1080p gaming. It is not geared towards 1440p, though it definitely can game at 1440p, especially with esports titles or just titles that don't require GPU intensive resources to begin with. But if you're looking at AAA like single player titles, yeah, you're probably not going to be touching 1440p or 4K for that matter. But in 1080p, I was pleasantly surprised. So on CSGO with high settings at 1080p, the average frame rate was over 250, 255.9 to be exact, and the 1% low and 0.2% lows were also above 120 at 148 and 130 respectively. So really good performance from CSGO, and of course, if you need more frames, there actually was still room there to drop down the settings just a little bit. From there, I moved over to a couple of games that are just a little bit more intensive graphically. The first one is Cyberpunk 2077, medium preset, 1080p, and yeah, I was actually pretty surprised here. The average was 45, the 1% low 38, and 0.2% low there, rounding up to 36 FPS, which is really important because that means not only are we getting playable frame rates, but we're staying consistently playable and we're not dropping frames down into the 20s. So Cyberpunk gets a pass here. And that was much the same with Dying Light 2, also on the medium preset at 1080p, the average of 47, 1% low of 40, or 41 if you want to round up correctly, and 0.2% low of 39. Once again, very playable frame rates, and also, once again, it actually isn't dipping down into the 20s or giving us hitches, stutters, or anything like that. So I'm actually really happy with both of these single player games, just as I am with the performance of CSGO. So where exactly does that leave us with this RX 480? Now, it's a really basic story here. I like this card a lot for the price, especially coming from eBay. And I say that because on eBay, unlike some local marketplaces, You're getting buyer protection with whatever you're purchasing so long as it's listed as working and not listed as just like 4 parts with no returns accepted. So for instance, if this card was listed as working, even if the seller said they would not accept returns, if it showed up and just did not work, I'm almost certainly getting my money back, and they're going to be getting the card back because it was listed as a working part and it did not in fact work. So I really like these from eBay because it gives you a grace period where you can actually get the card in hand, plug it into your system, and if it has any issues, you can return it and get your money back and try again with a different card. Now, on a local marketplace, that's a little bit sketchier because you're not protected in the same way that you are with eBay or with some sort of online marketplace that has some sort of buyer assurances or buyer guarantees, that sort of thing. So on a local marketplace, you're taking your chances, but you are also likely to be rewarded with a slightly lower price. But for under $100 as a centerpiece to a gaming PC that's going to cost actually under $400 when it's all complete, that's including shipping, taxes, everything all in, I actually think this is absolutely worth the risk if you're on a tight budget because it gives you really solid performance. And it's still a relevant gaming card even now in 2022, some 6 years after this card launched. So yeah, I'm really happy with this purchase. And of course, this is where I always kick it back to you, the viewer. If you have purchased a GPU on the secondhand market, whether it's eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, any of those places, if you purchased a GPU that was used recently, I want to know what that GPU was, how much it cost, and did it show up functioning, or was it a mining card that was dead upon arrival? Let me know all of your experiences in those comments down below. Otherwise, I'm going to let YouTube queue up a couple more videos for my channel for you to watch. I'm Shane with Hoosier Hardware, and I will see you guys in the next video.